Hi everyone and welcome in this YouTube channel. Today in this video the topic is very special. It's about a dish that has an important place in Italian culture and that has conquered also the hearts and the palates of the global generation. So, are you able to guess what is it? It is the pizza! So, are you ready to discover all the secrets of this delicious word? 3, 2, 1, go!
Etymology of the word pizza. The term pizza will come from the Latin pincere or the verb pancere, that is to beat, crush, press, that will come from Mediterranean and Balkan pita of Greek origin. The first use of the word pizza dates back to 997 and is testified in a medieval Latin text of the Codex Cajetanus of Gaeta. It's in a list on a mill on the Garigliano River. The document, kept in the archives of the Cathedral of Gaeta, states that, in addition to the rent, each year were due to the owners 12 pizzas at Christmas and as many at Easter. The ancient Germanic word bizzo or pizzo, meaning edible, in relation also to English words bet and bite, was imported to Italy in the mid-6th century, during the invasion of Lombards. The origin of pizza. The first element of pizza found in human history is yeast. This food makes its first appearance in ancient Egypt, one of the basic foods of the Egyptian diet, so much that in 500 before Christ Hecate of Miletus, geographer and ancient Greek historian, one of the first authors of writings on history and geography in prose of the Greek world, defined the Egyptians people of bread eaters was the bread, with the three types of cereals grown in the Nile Valley, spelt, a specific type of wheat, Triticum aestivum, and barley. It is counted that the first forms of bread dating back to ancient Egypt around 3500 before Christ. For the realization of bread, the Egyptians, after having harvested, cut down to separate the grains from the straw, and kept them in large silos, shaped granaries, the grains were transformed into flour with millstones or by hand by the woman, who crushed them between two smooth stones. It was kneaded, adding sea salt. The baking of the bread was originally done on red oak stone slabs and then in cylindrical ovens, often in the domestic field. The Egyptians were the first to perfect the production of bread through leavening, bringing it to artisanal levels with the definition of the professional figure of the baker. It seems that the process of leavening, which made the bread softer, lighter, much more tasty and digestible, it happened leaving the flour wet in the open, but the Egyptians were not aware of the yeast fermentation process and believed that the chemical reaction was a miracle. It was later understood by Louis Pasteur. He managed to establish the key role of yeast as a microorganism responsible for alcoholic fermentation, guaranteeing the attribution of flavors of bread. The first rising itself was a coincidence. An ancient legend tells how an Egyptian slave forgot the dough of flour and water intended for a preparation of some cockerels in a warm and dark corner. Some yeasts that had spontaneously settled on the dough made it swell, giving an acid taste to that surprisingly soft and light bread, and the slave woman, having no more time to prepare another pasta for her master, who was waiting, baked it as it was, by letting her master try a new product that he found delicious. Probably the ancestor of the white pizza is the Roman pizza, dating back to the Imperial Rome, flattened, with an elongated shape based on water meets grains ground. Spelt, millet, barley. This flat dish, composed of poor ingredients, was prepared in ancient times by Roman farmers, who seasoned it with salt and aromatic herbs to ensure the benevolence of the gods with offerings and gifts in nature. The dough was cooked on stone slabs placed on large embers. In the Aeneid, Virgil tells how it was used as an accompaniment to serve some food, and the name as the first meal of Aeneas landed on the coast of Lazio. 7th century, a Germanic word of Italy, Gothic Lombard, arises in Italy with the Lombards. Bizzo pizzo, from the German bizen. It means bite, from bite to piece of bread to focaccia, is a logical path that linguists call a common process of metonymic translation, a synecdoche chain. Around the year 1000 are the first official documents with the term pizza, as in one dated 1195 and dated in Penne, Abruzzo, or those of the Roman Curia of 1300, where we speak of pizzas and pizzas, referring to some typical baked goods of that period in the center-south of the peninsula, Abruzzo and Molise above all. In 1600 were born the first forms close to the current pizza, very poor dish, cooked in wood ovens and seasoned with garlic, lard and coarse salt, or with caciocavallo and basil. The origin of the current pizza, however, could be placed between the 500 and the 600 just in the Kingdom of Naples. The oldest pizza is the so-called Mastunicola pizza. The dressing of this included the use of lard, which for its ability to provide energy was the necessary livelihood for men involved in work. Basil, cheese and pepper. The name seems to derive just from one of the ingredients, basil, called in Vassunicola dialect. Another preparation that spread in the Kingdom of Naples was the pizza with ceccinelli. The pizza was topped with bianchetti, in dialect ciccinelli, small fish. In pizzas, there was not always the traditional tomato. The tomato arrived in Europe only in the 16th century, after the discovery of America, but until the 18th century was considered as an ornamental plant. It began to be used in the kitchens as a sauce seasoned with salt and basil, and around the second half of 1700 was added to the filling of the pizza within the Kingdom of Naples, then entering in 1770 all over the world thanks to the immigration flows. It was around 1770, which in fact started the history of the long tomato from Latin America as a gift to Ferdinand IV of Bourbon, son of Charles III, King of Spain, King of the Kingdom of Naples from the Viceroyalty of Peru with the claim that it was edible. He then rooted in the crop the seeds of tomato as a gift in the lands between Naples and Salerno, gave origin to San Marzano. It was he also who made the mozzarella that it was not possible to bring into the city beforehand, for it was not preserved and therefore it was consumed only by him that produced it, made this possible by stimulating the production of the famous dairy in the laboratories of the royal industry of the Paiata delle Bufale in Carditello, the anti-estate of San Tamarro that Ferdinando IV had taken over from his father Carlo in 1780 to transform it into an innovative laboratory of about 2,000 hectares for cultivation and breeding. There are mainly two original core pizzas, the marinara, the oldest, and the margherita. Marinara. The first marinara date back to 1734 and was different from today's one. Initially, it was made with anchovies, capers, oregano, black olives ogaita, and oil, and without tomato. It was called marinara, not as many believe because it contains fish. it is not so, but because it was the food that fishermen ate when they returned home from the long days of fishing in the Bay of Naples. Margherita. La Margherita the Margherita is instead attributed to Periolo Raffaele Esposito, who worked at the pizzeria located at the cliff of Sant'Anna di Palazzo. Founded at the end of the 18th century and still active today as Pizzeria Brandi. The story tells that on the evening of June 11, 1889, in the royal kitchens of the Palace of Capodimonte, Esposito would bake 3 different types of pizza to pay homage to the visit of King Umberto of Savoy and Queen Margherita, who would have made a request: the Mastunicola pizza, lard, cheese, basil, the marinara pizza, tomato, garlic, oil, oregano, and the tomato and mozzarella pizza, tomato, oil, mozzarella, oregano, to which Esposito's wife, Maria Giovanna Brandi, would have added a basil leaf, made in honor of Queen Margherita and whose colors intentionally recall the Italian tricolor. The Queen appreciated the letter so much that she wanted to thank and praise the author in writing, and the only way to reciprocate the gesture by the pizza maker was to give the name of the Queen to his culinary creation, Pizza Margherita. But the existence of such a pizza dates back to the first half of the 19th century, well in advance of the tribute to the Savoy of Raffaele Esposito. This data is also recorded in the EU Regulation number 97 of 2010 of the European Commission reporting in the Official Gazette of February 2010, according to which it's accredited the name Pizza Napoletana STG in the Register of Traditional Specialties guaranteed. In point 3.8 of Annex 2, we read that the most popular and famous pizzas in Naples were the marinara, born in 1734, and the margherita, 1796, 1810. The name Margherita probably already existed because the philologist Emanuele Rocco, in the second volume of the work Usi e costumi di Napoli e contorni, described and painted coordinated by Francesco de Bucart, spoke of thin slices of mozzarella. The name Margherita in this case derives from the radial arrangement of the slices of mozzarella because from this arrangement came out the design of the field flower, which is also the name of the Piedmontese queen. Francesco de Bucart, in 1866, gives the description of the main types of pizza, namely those that today are called marinara, pizza, pizza margherita, and calzone. One of the first testimonies on pizza in Naples is given by the French writer, also passionate gastronome, Alexandre Dumas, in his work Il Curricolo, published in 1850, more or less. The legend was conceived both to indicate the affection of Neapolitans towards the Piedmontese royal house, to spread it throughout the territory of the enlarged nation, but also to give certification to foods produced with water now healthy as the first street food universalized. After the plague of 1884 was no longer hidden in the root's vehicle of contamination, but the construction of the Stellino aqueduct made possible a return to the origins. Originally, the pizza, in fact, was sold in street stalls by vendors out of the ovens in copper cylinders with handles on the sides and a lid on to keep the pizzas warm. Then, later, they were sold in trattorias and pizzerias. Although the almost poor way of selling pizza was popular with the populace and, although initially disdained by barons, princes, and rulers, also conquers the royal palates from Ferdinand IV of Bourbon, who, fond of taverns where he went in secret, loves pizza beyond measure. So much so that he had tried several times to introduce it in the court menu. So he decides to let his wife Maria Carolina and the ladies of the court taste, to cook in the ovens of Capodimonte near those from which came out the precious ceramics. For this reason, he hires the best pizza chef in the city, Antonio Testa, who became a monk, chef of the kingdom. Until the beginning of the 20th century, pizza and pizzerias remained a purely Neapolitan phenomenon, and gradually Italian, in northern Italy, began to spread only after the Second World War, then, on the way of immigration, began to spread abroad, but only after the Second World War, adapting to the tastes of various countries, became a worldwide phenomenon. The Italian immigrants have made known, appreciate, and even change the pizza in the world. I can mention four types of pizza. The Napolitan pizza. True pizza is the only type of pizza recognized in the international arena. The Napolitan pizza, already recognized since 2010, special guarantee tradition on December 7 from the distant South Korea, is officially declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site, protected by this STG brand. Napolitan pizza must be prepared according to a precise specification and meet certain requirements. According to the specification, the pizza napoletana STG is characterized by a raised cornice, golden in color, just baked products, soft to the touch and tasting, from a center with a filling, where the red of the tomato stands out, which has perfectly blended the oil and, depending on the ingredients used, the green of the oregano and the white of the garlic, the white of the mozzarella cheese more or less close together, the green of the basil leaves more or less dark for cooking. The consistency of the pizza napoletana must be soft, elastic, easily foldable. The product is soft when cut. The flavor is characteristic, sapid, resulting from the ledge, which presents the typical taste of bread, well grown and well cooked, mixed with the sour taste of the tomato, the aroma of oregano, garlic, or basil, respectively, and the taste of cooked mozzarella. The pizza, at the end of the cooking process, will emit a characteristic smell, fragrant, a result that is obtained from a dough made only with water, salt, yeast, and flour. After a leavening of at least 8 hours, the dough should be spread exclusively with the hands. The rolling pin should not be used, or in any case, the use of mechanical means for its preparation is not allowed. The pizza makers make the shape of the pizza with their hands, making it turn with their fingers, and shall not exceed 35 centimeters in diameter or be more than a third of a centimeter thick in the center. The dough is turned several times in such a way as to obtain a disc of dough so that the thickness in the center is no more than 4 millimeters. The pizza is then stuffed: tomato, mozzarella, basil, and extra virgin olive oil for the margherita. The STG brand only protects pizzas with traditional condiments, but it is on this basis that you can make all the varieties of pizzas possible. The cooking is very short, no more than 90 seconds in the hood oven. There are many famous pizzerias in Naples where you can find these traditional pizzas. Most of them are in the old historic center of Naples. Sometimes such pizzerias will go beyond the specific rules. For example, using only tomatoes of the variety San Marzano, grown on the slopes of Vesuvius, and using only olive oil and adding slices of tomato clockwise. Another addition to the rules is the use of fresh basil leaves on marinara pizza. It is not in the official recipe, but is added by most of the Napolitan pizzerias to garnish it. Pizza in pala. Just Just cooking is one of the elements that most differentiate Napolitan pizza from the Roman one, also called pizza at the shovel. The latter, in fact, cooks at much lower temperature for much longer time. A refractory stone. Another difference lies in the dough. High hydration, about 75% of water, compared to a lower quantity of yeast than the one used in Naples and a much longer leavening period, even higher than 48 hours. The result is a crispy pizza outside and very honeycombed inside. Fragrant and tasty, but digestible and light. The differences do not stop at the preparation, but emerge at the tasting and at the sight. The elongated shape and sides are the hallmark of this pizza, which is seasoned directly on the shovel of the oven. Wet pizza. Do not call it focaccia. Wet pizza in Rome is prepared with the dough of the pizza shovel, which is baked without dressing. Laid out and greased with oil, the wet pizza is baked in the oven. Only once cooked can it be seasoned to taste. Classy pairing with mortadella, but it's delicious as it is. Pinza. The Roma school is also associated with the pinza, which is now depopulated not only in the capital but throughout Italy. Elongated shape, soft but crunchy texture, no raised cornicione as in Napolitan, the pinza is prepared with a highly hydrated dough, with a long leavening, and with the use of very little yeast, from a special mixture of flour, soya flour and rice flour in the first place, which can be added millet, spelt, kamut, and reduced percentage of wheat flour. You can also add herbs and very little oil. Temperature regulation is also important. The water must be cold to allow long leavening. It should be also remembered that it is the rice flour that gives softness to the dough, while the long leavening and the reduced use of wheat, yeast, and seasonings increase the digestibility of the product. Little salt too, to be added at the end of cooking. There are ovens designed specifically for cooking pizza. The pizza bases in Naples are soft and crumbly, but in Rome they prefer a thin and crispy base. Another popular form of pizza in Italy is the pizza al taglio, which is the pizza baked in rectangular trays with a wide variety of seasonings and sold by weight. Some differences from North and South Italy in the field of pizza. First difference, the dough. In many areas of the South, for the dough is used a greater percentage of flour, and the ball from which is the disc is obtained is 250 280 grams. The cooking takes place strictly in a wood-fired oven at 450 km for 2 minutes at most and gets a pizza of 28 30 cm in diameter, whose characteristics are those of a high and soft edge. As you climb, however, the appearance of the pizza becomes thinner and crispier, especially in the edge. In the north of the country is used less flour, and the ball obtained has a weight of 230 grams. Here the cut is wide, up to 33 cm in diameter. Characteristics are the friability and crunchiness. Second difference, the edge, softness versus crunchiness. The main requirement of Napolitan pizza is generally softness, not be so confused with gummy. The cornice has ethereal consistency, and the alveoli, the holes present in the crumb of the dough, similar to cotton candy. To check if a pizza is Napolitan, in fact, one of the systems consists in pressing the disc. If it's resilient, which means if it goes back to its original height, it's okay. The Nordic pizza has a characteristic scroccarella consistency, its true trademark. The appearance is thin and crisp, with a less pronounced edge than the one in southern Italy. Third difference, the ingredients, fior di latte versus bufala. The basic sauce of the pizza includes fresh tomato, macerated in extra virgin olive oil, salt and basil with the addition of mozzarella. As for the oil, in the south olive oil is such usual both in the dough and in the dressing, while the pizza center north, despite having extra virgin olive oil on the disc, presents in the dough extra virgin oil or seeds, which has a hydration around 55% that is significantly less than the Napolitan round. The types of tomatoes used can also change for geographical reasons. San Marzano in southern Italy, the varieties cultivated in Piacenza, Genovese and Nizzardo forests in central north. As for the mozzarella, the dichotomy is between the fior di latte of the center north and the buffalo, but not the one destined to the fresh consumption, which would be too watery, in the center south. Fourth difference, the cooking times. This is about seconds, but they make a difference. In the case of the Napolitan pizza, the cooking takes place strictly in a wood-fired oven at a low voltage. In the north, on the other hand, the cooking takes place at lower temperatures, about 320 years. For a longer time, it is not unusual to exceed 5 minutes, nor the choice to use an electric oven. Fifth difference is the average price. The oscillations deriving from a series of factors, the greater or lesser quality of the ingredients, the cost of the labor and supplies, the local taxation, and so on, it is undoubted that to the south, in general, the pizza costs something less than that in the north. Some curiosity, flour, gluten is not poison, only for celiac. All wet flour with bran has more mineral salts, but there are the same components with flour 00. Flour from different results at different temperature. Type to choose ideal depends on the timing, processing, maturation, flour characteristics. There are 4 types of flour. 00 flour, more sifted. The middle part of the grain is white. 0, 1 flour, and all flour in which there is the skin. Most derive from wheat flour and common wheat. Protein content is important in flours. Gives strength or resists kneading efforts. Absorbs more water, more protein content. Longer leavening time, more time to ripen, better orient between 12 and 13 grams of protein content for the product we want to obtain. For a long ripening dough, recommended medium strength flour. Water. Hydration percentage water compared to quantity flour. If hydrated to 50 on 1 kilogram, 500 grams of water. Advantages: more hydrated, more digestible, softer, with greater volume and bubbles areas for water vapor release tag cooking. Tightly bonded. Oil does not compromise too much hydration. Temperature. Broad room temperature and cooked. Important furnace temperature bonded process. Maturation. Has minimal effect on digestibility. What counts more cooking? Time maturation depends on type flour. Starch requires the body about 70% to digest it. Better maturation, more body digest by starch process. Yeast. Yeast is natural. The first yeast domesticated by the man contained on the skin of the grapes by the ancient Egyptians. It can be put together with salt. If when you press yeast it crumbles, it means it is fresh. Dry beer yeast with equal weight at greater leavening strength fresh by presence of water. Brewer's yeast function plays in dough. Fundamental in leavening. Needs simple sugars to give rise to yeast, fundamental role in enzymes present in flour itself. With the presence of oxygen, yeast proliferes. When fermentation begins to nourish simple sugars in the dough, enzyme complexes simplify complex sugars. From sugars you get ethanol that gives aroma to the product, carbon dioxide from the start to leavening. Proliferation of yeast favored by maltose also present in flour. Now time of recipe. 500 grams Manitoba flour, 25 gram beer yeast cube, 2 teaspoons of salt, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1 cup of olive oil. Put in a bowl flour, salt, and then mix oil and yeast, beer dissolved in lukewarm water and sugar. Mix until you reach a soft dough. Raise the dough for 40 hours, and that's it. Then you can put the ingredients that you like most.
Have you liked the video? I hope yes. If there are any doubts, write in the comments. See you next time.